Good evening, everyone. Time is 7:09 p.m., January 3rd. Happy New Year to everyone here. I want to announce that we have a quorum present and call to order the City Council regular meeting. Everyone, please stand for the invocation and pledge allegiance. Bow your heads. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for another year. We thank you for all those that are present, our staff, our council members, our residents, community members, business leaders, and just all the city of Manor, Lord. We thank you for bringing us to another year, and ask you to bless our planning, bless our conversations, and create opportunities so that we can continue to grow our city, so we can move from surviving to thriving and bring jobs and bless us economically and keep us safe. Bless this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you may be seated. No public comments? All right, so we're going to dive right into our public hearing for tonight. Number one, public hearing, conduct a public hearing on annexing 0.98 acres of land, more or less, and being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent to contiguous to the city limits. Mr. Don?
All right, even Mayor and Council. So this resolution accepting this petition, I believe was at your last meeting, maybe the one before that in December. This is the public hearing that was set by that resolution. So this is approximately 1 acre tract right at the corner, the northeast corner of 290 and 973. I believe there's a fireworks stand on it right now. As part of the 380 incentive agreement, the development agreement for Manor Commons Phase 3, it was requested by us, the city, and approved by you all, that remainder tract, that 1 acre tract out of the 33 acre whole parcel, be annexed and zoned appropriately, so that way the entire property is within the city. And so the property owner, Mr. Timmerman, has filed for that voluntary annexation, and there's a zoning as well that'll go to Planning Commission next week and be paired with this annexation as it moves forward. Based on any questions, I can answer them for you.
Any questions, comments, council members? Everyone remember this parcel land that we was talking about? If no questions or comments?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Does this area have any water or wastewater or any of those kind of pipes like running in that area, or is that something that we would use, and so, or that property space need that to where we have to like come to an agreement for them to?
There's nothing there now. The wastewater is on the west side of 973. There may be water lines in the area. I'm not sure if they come up right at this property or slightly to the east of it, but they're in the vicinity. The property is mostly actually in the floodplain. So as part of the larger Manor Commons Phase 3 development, like this property really isn't actually getting developed substantially, if at all, because of the mostly being in a floodplain. But for continuity purposes, we wanted it as part of the city. So.
Other questions?
If it becomes a part of the city, that fireworks stand has to move, right?
It does. The development agreement permits it to be there through December 31st of 2024, which for all intents and purposes would probably be like January 1st or 2nd, because can't really pack up the night of New Year's.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 1.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Wallace to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Moving right along. Consent agenda item. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by council and will be enacting one motion. There will be no separate discussion on items unless requested by the mayor or council member, in which event the item will be removed from consent agenda and considered separately. Number 2, consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve city council minutes. December 6th, city council regular meeting. December 18th, city council special called. And then December 20th, city council regular meeting. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Council would like to make a motion that we approve consent agenda item number 2.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquite. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Regular agenda item. First reading, consideration, discussion, and possible action on ordinance annexing 0.98 acres of land, more or less, being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits. This is the public hearing we just had related to the conversations we've had since last year regarding that corner piece of property, Timberland corner piece of property. Any questions? I'll take many questions or a motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the first reading of an ordinance annexing 0.98 acres of land, more or less, being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions to the motion?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to come back and make an amendment to that date from, like what you said, being on the 31st of December, when that would be probably their last day of really working?
No, I mean, if the development agreement comes up for amendment, well, maybe we can insert it then, but I don't think we need to amend the agreement just solely for that.
Good question. Other questions? Okay, being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving right along to number 4, consideration, discussion, and possible action to a construction contract for the one-time Capital Metro BCT Fund paving improvement projects. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Tyler Shows. I'm with GBA. I'm here to discuss the approval for the construction contract for the one-time Capital Metro BCT funded paving improvement projects. So we had a public bid opening on November 28th, and we had 5 bidders. The lowest bidder came down to Asphalt Industry LLC, DBA Lone Star Paving. So a little bit of background for Lone Star Paving. They've done a lot of work for the new subdivisions within Maynard, paving all that area. They have a lot of work with TxDOT. Based off their qualification checks, they're in good standings with their bonding agency, good standing financially, good standing with their credit references. Everything seems in order. They're really well known and reputable entity. So for this project, it will be a mill and overlay for the Lexington Boulevard north of US 290 to the city limits and Shadow Glen Boulevard north of 290 to the city limits. So those 2 areas will be milled and overlaid. This project came under budget, and this project is funded through the Capital Metro BCT one-time fund. It's funded through them, and the contractor confirmed that they would do this at the bid price. And any leftover funding from the BCT Cap Metro will be used for other pavement projects in the future moving forward. It is the city staff recommendation that the city council approve and award the construction contract for the one-time Capital Metro BCT funded paving improvement projects to Asphalt Inc. LLC, doing business as Lone Star Paving Company, in the amount of $579,457.90.
Thank you for that information, sir. Can you repeat again where the projects want to start and end?
It will start, so it'll be two areas that'll be milled overlaid. It'll be Lexington Boulevard north of 290, going to the city limits. And the second section will be Shadow Bend Boulevard north of 290 to the city limits.
Okay. Council members, questions? Is this, oh, well, let me ask my question while y'all are getting y'all's question. My, one question is, what does this put us in regards to the balance for the Metro funds?
So originally the fund was 1.5 million, and this one's about 600,000. So
Okay,
100,000 in it.
okay, because we haven't tapped out for any of the other projects yet?
Mm.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, council?
And those will be restriked as well?
Yes. So, I don't think so. No.
You said speed bumps?
Is that part of the project?
Okay, I don't think we want speed bumps on Lexington. You talking about on?
The golf carts?
Yeah,
I know that was discussed at one point.
you gotta push the buttons, and you gotta, if y'all gonna talk, y'all gotta come up to the mic.
There are speed bumps closer to the golf course.
Yes.
Or actually, they're right past the golf course.
Yes, they will install speed humps by the golf cart crossing as part of the project. Yes.
When you say Lexington, I think here,
No.
yeah, so I don't think, yeah, yeah, okay.
Will they be creating the turn lane? When they do the restriping, is it gonna include the turn lane?
To 290
Uh-huh.
right there. This.
You mean the striping of it?
Yeah, when they do the striping.
Yes, they'll do striping for all that
For
area.
the turn lanes and everything. Okay. So we have people just shoot across and
Okay. Other questions? Go ahead, sir.
Might want to suggest when we look at it. I know that the McDonald's and Starbucks, they kind of have an island, and I was thinking at some point if we study that or look at it to kind of so you can get more banking, more cars to bank in there to make the left turn. Because sometimes one car is parked and that little lip is out there, so it's something we can look at to kind of adjust that little island. That way you get more cars to go. Because that'll save at least 2 or 3 cars to get in if it's properly adjusted.
Yeah, I've been honked at a few times because right there.
Because somebody can't move far enough and it's not enough for them to get by. But just something to look at.
Look into. I can get with Pauline, my supervisor, who she's worked concurrently with city staff on this. We can look into getting that into it.
Yeah, because I think that's something if we can do it with the reconstruction. I don't think it's going to mess with the integrity of that marquee coming into the subdivision, but it'll just at least give us another way to get a couple more cars to get into that left lane rather than stacking back up.
Yeah, I'll get with Pauline and city staff. We can look and get that included in there. Make it easier for everybody.
So that might be the only change, council, if they come back. But I think it'd be something for us to really to modify and not have to miss an opportunity when it goes under construction and come back later and just do it sooner than later.
okay, in that case, I have another question. The cars that are coming out from McDonald's that are trying to shoot across,
On the left side.
yeah, how do we, or the ones trying to come out of Starbucks parking lot going across to the McDonald's area? All of those turns right there in that little area, that's a traffic hazard. No, a lot of wrecks happen right there. So when we look at it, we need to look at it coming out of the McDonald's parking lot. If you're going to make it to where they can only turn one way to get out, or something to alleviate that. Also coming out of the Starbucks parking lot, because I'm guilty of it. I make that turn to get in the Starbucks parking lot. So we need to have clear mapping of the road right there. So in your striping and also fixing that island, make sure it is clearly marked which way people need to go. If you have to have signage, whatever, just make sure that's proper so we can alleviate some of the stress of that little area right there.
I'll get with city staff so we can bring all these items to attention, and then whatever improvements we want to add to this, we can look into it and do analysis on it.
Other questions, council members?
I have a question. Sorry, it's not about those things. But I guess it was the quality of that road, since it's just that overlay. Is that the fun material? That's that efficient stuff that we had, I guess, at one point that was like real quick and easy, or it kind of had an efficiency to it versus having a true asphalt big. I think it was like crushed something that was used before. Is that what this kind of overlay would be?
I'm not 100% sure what it will be. What? Yes.
Come on, my
Please.
friend. And thank you, Mike. I think, is this your first time?
This Tyler's, Tyler shows
Sorry, I said
at our office. So, so having him deliver the piece tonight, but I can answer your question. So I think what you're referring to is maybe the microsurfacing project that we had done before. And that works really well when you've got a road that's in very good condition and you're really just trying to address, the surface cracking and really the top driving surface. Both Lexington and Shadow Glen, there's a lot of deviations in the roadway surface, and so to go in and repair that asphalt so it's a smooth driving surface, if you will, we need to go in and mill it down. So that's going in actually with a milling machine like a Bomag, milling that up, and you see that often on TxDOT highways. When they go in, they'll just mill up the top few inches and then come in and lay a brand new smooth asphalt. So you'll have a nice smooth driving surface as you drive along, because there's a lot of undulations on that road that this will help, remove that and provide a good quality driving surface. So it's a little different. It's more expensive. It's less expensive than going in though and doing full road reconstruction and all of that. So that's kind of the range. Does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, there's a follow-up.
No.
But I guess I was just asking that because of maybe like the life of that road once it is done and it's redone, because I guess we still have a lot of heavier vehicles and larger vehicles that go there. So just kind of making sure, like, what's the time frame we could expect for this to happen again. And I guess even with the water and erosion, I think that really helps kind of wear and tear that road as well. And then I guess the last question is just because you will be tearing up the road a little bit, is there I know there's like 90 days for it to get done for a start and stop, but I guess notifying the people over there, because that'll make that a huge traffic issue. So start in the summertime. Okay, until then.
Well, it's a pretty tight construction schedule, so we don't have it planned to run in the summertime. To get it and constructed and built as quickly as possible. The good news is because we're not doing full roadway reconstruction, the really time-consuming one is when you go in and you tear up all of the asphalt surface and then all of your base material, which is that foundation that the road sits on, and then go in and work the subgrade, which is the native soils underneath it. That takes a lot of time because you have to pull everything out, go in, moisture treat and compact, and then once you get all that set up, then come in and do your layers of base and then do your asphalt. And so that's months of having it down. You can go out and you, like you see it on TxDOT highways, you'll drive it, and then one day all of a sudden there'll be all of that where they carved up the road, if you will, with the milling machine, and then you can asphalt right over it, so you don't have all that time to install the base and all of that. And this is all part of the programming that's in the city's pavement management program. And so we're trying to do as much of the maintenance work that we can do to preserve the value of the existing infrastructure. So this is kind of that mid-level treatment, your microsurfacing or, seal coat or fog seal. Those are your really, minimal treatments to just the surface. This is sort of in between that and full reconstruction. And so it will provide, we've got a good foundation underneath it, plenty of base. And so this is going in and just basically smoothing it out, putting a new hot mix surface on it, sealing everything up so you don't have water invading and cracks and that sort of thing, and preserving the road.
Thank you both.
Sure.
Good questions. Other questions or comments?
I might ask a question. Knowing that during our daytime traffic, would it be an option to consider maybe an evening? Not that they have to, or just wondering if that wasn't part of the, I don't want the contractor to feel that it was sprung on them to have to work at a different shift, because in the evening it's less traffic than at 8 in the morning or noon or 3.
Right.
Just knowing that where those intersections are, it could be.
Well, and so we've got traffic control plans in the plans themselves. What we can do is work with city staff on, when we get to the pre-con, coordinating on exactly how we're going to do that with the different circumstances on the different roadways and the different times. They'll obviously not want to have backed up traffic all around them. And so trying to coordinate that as best we can. But we've got some limitations also now as well, given the time of year. We've got to have a certain temperature to be able to lay asphalt. And so we may be a little bit limited on when we can do that work because it's during the colder months. So everything will be done as best as it can to minimize the impacts on traffic, but recognizing that we do have it. But we did contemplate that with the traffic control plans to keep, things, the signage up, the temporary traffic controls and all those sorts of things to keep traffic open, and moving during construction. So. But we can talk about that more at pre-con time.
Thank you.
I'll take any additional questions or a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve and award the construction contract for the one-time Capital Metro BCT funded paving improvement project to Asphalt Inc. LLC, doing business as Lone Star Paving Company, in the amount of $579,459.90.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Mesper. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Weir. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving
Thank you.
right along. Next agenda item, consideration, and thank you both, Todd and Frank. Consideration, discussion, possible action on authorizing the resolution of support to the Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority for 290 highway corridor improvements. I'll let Moore kind of talk about, those pieces, but those of you all know that this has been an ongoing high level of work since 2000 and at least 2018 or 19 for sure. That's when I got on, and I know we've had all kind of conversations, smiling ones and ones where we were not smiling at all. And I think everyone that has been working with us with CTMRA, TxDOT, and so forth has been awesome in listening to us and hearing our concerns and complaints and answering all of our questions. And so you want to walk through what we have here?
Yes, sir. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing this agenda to come before you. I know in the conversations that Mayor Pro Tem and I had with Senator Eckhart, they had suggested that we need to get some PMRA or some agency to be able to identify the US 290 corridor as a priority project. In order to do that, a resolution would be needed, and I think we have a meeting coming up either the 19th or 26th that would further give us an indication where this project can move forward. And I think the goal from this was to be able to work with the county commissioners and TxDOT, and also the school district and everyone else that's impacted by the roadway and the constant increase of the traffic through Mena that our citizens have been asking. And so in order for us to get on any type of strategic plan to be funded or considered, this would be the one step. And I think this would give us a good indication with all the growth that's coming and planned that we can't keep skipping and looking over Maynard, if you look at the map, you can see the exhibit of what's been approved in Travis County. And like, they're small projects, but we got indication that there are some projects that are going to be paid off by the toll authority. And so they may be looking for projects down the road to add to their strategic plan to help alleviate some of the growth and congestion issues that we have out here. So the draft resolution before you is just pretty much an outline which we could fine tune some more after our meeting this later on this month, and then we'll come back with the actual resolution for you to approve. But this is just to let our citizens know that we want to start the year out knowing that we're not going to ignore it. We're going to try to address it, but we have partners that are willing to address it as long as there's support from the council to address it. So this is a good indication for us that we are heading the right direction, and we want to make sure we get added to any type of future transportation list, and then that way we can let our representatives at the state and federal level ask, because right now if they ask where you at on TxDOT 10-year plan, we're not even there. And you ask for CTMRA, we're not even there, but the traffic is. And so we want to make sure we can show them the data, but we also want to show them that there are several areas that fail, and that's the data that they have to show that it's failing. The system is failing our commuters every day. It's nothing the city can do about it, but we can definitely start advocating and asking our partners to let the city either participate in the feasibility study or just go ahead and get the proper agency to commission a feasibility study so we can have the resolutions and all the letters of support to back this up.
And I want to highlight, we had in our workshop earlier, we talked about scripts or things to say when we go and do these community meetings coming up. This might be a good talking point to have that we can kind of script out in regards to explaining why we are where we at in regards to 290 and 973, and then why we're at where we're at, and then what we've been doing, and then where we're at right now in regards to those resolutions, because there's been a lot of meetings, a lot of work for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and we want to start make sure we're sharing what has been going on for all this time period, and you know, and I think it's important to communicate that there's every one of these major entities has committees, and seats at those committees are either by appointment or designated by the size of your city. So our city has been a certain size to qualify to have a designated seat on some of these committees. This means we're at the mercy of board members and executive directors and people on those committees to speak about our needs and to make our needs priority. And so that's been one of the challenges, is knowing about all the committees has been one challenge. And now that we know and we're communicating our messages, is getting everyone to kind of shift from Austin only towards the east has been kind of our goal, to talk about, you know, the I-35 corridor gets a lot of attention, a lot of money. And what we've been trying to do is work with our mayors in Elgin, and talking to Mayor in Elgin and Taylor and Pflugerville about this eastern corridor, you know, 973, 290 east and 95 south, and drawing attention, regional attention there for employment and infrastructure and roadway improvements, because untapped land, it'd be cheaper for developers and investors, but it also, those things combined, infrastructure, regional employment, regional hospital, regional wastewater, water treatment plants, those type of things will relieve the pressure and the need for everyone to actually travel into Austin. Because that's really what the traffic issue is, that all the needs are being met in one space. So improvements to 290 is addressing the symptoms. The real problem is working eastward to bring in needs of the people, so that people don't have to drive west. So, comments, questions, you all?
Once this resolution is done and voted upon, is this something we can make public, you know, to show what the city is supporting?
And I think the goal for us is if we have the initial meeting, the key is to follow up. And then if we want to, we can go to the CTMRA meeting on January 31st or any of the meetings that they have. It would be important that we, as a council, as a staff, just go to the meeting and to get on the public agenda and speak. Then that way they have record of us speaking. And I think that's what Senator Eckhart had suggested we do. Or anybody that's got the pot of money, they want to be able to let citizens come and speak, and as long as our residents know that that's our intention is to go and see when the next call for projects, when there's the next anything in 2024 and beyond, that gives you as a council member an opportunity to go and speak that, especially those that lived here a long time, you can speak more clearly about why we've been missed, and now you have that voice to be heard.
Okay, I have a question. Would it do us any good to have our citizens actually write in and express their concerns for our road needs?
I would say we probably shouldn't tell people to do it, but we should probably educate people on the process and allow them to make the inference themselves. And I think that's when we talk about those HOA meetings, community meetings that we host, is, because they're going to ask, okay, one of the questions is always going to be, why haven't we done anything about 290? And so you can explain to what roads we control, and then what roads other entities control, and then, hey, here's the communicated process on those entities' websites on how to give feedback. Here are the times where you can show up and meet with them in person. In that sense, versus saying y'all need to go write letters, because that can it could be perceived as hostile. So more of educating folks on the opportunities that are available to them and where to go to share their concerns, hopes, needs, and stuff like that. I think is best. How we say it matters. Other questions? I'll take questions or a motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that the City Council direct staff to prepare a resolution of support to the Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority for US 290 highway corridor improvements.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Weir. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Moving right along to number 6. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on the confirmation, ratification, and approval letter agreement with Greenview Development 973 LP for the conveyance of water line and temporary construction easement and acceptance of the easements. Authorizing city manager to take all actions necessary to accept conveyance of the easements. Let's see, page. Right.
Apologies, I closed my agenda item very quickly. Mayor, council members, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. This item is being brought to you for ratification purposes, as stated in the summary form. The letter agreement and the easements needed to be executed prior to the city council meeting. So not only did your city attorney's office review the documents, but we also consulted with your eminent domain attorney, Mr. Ken Sick, and we all agreed that they needed to be executed so that we didn't delay the project. And so we are now asking for ratification of this and approval of them by the city council, and allowing the city manager to continue and execute any additional documents associated with this transaction. So I will answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, we'll take questions or a motion.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to move that the council authorize, confirm, and ratify the approval of letter agreement with Greenview Development LP for the conveyance of a water line and temporary construction easement and acceptance of the easements and the city manager to take all actions necessary to accept conveyance of the easements.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Ms. Marzani. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion?
So the completion date on this will be a year from now?
I have your city engineer is here with regard to the project itself.
The construction period will be less than a year. It really we're dependent now upon the acquisition of the easements. So that's kind of what's controlling the schedule. So depending upon when all the easements are secured, that will dictate when the project can go to construction. So it's a bit of unknown depending upon what happens with the remainder of the easement acquisitions. So, but it's not going to take a year to construct it once we get started.
All right, thank you.
Other questions, comments? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Moving right along, executive session. City Council will now convene into executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, in accordance with the authority contained in Sections 551.071 and Section 551.072, Texas Government Code, and Section 1.05, Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct, consult with legal counsel, deliberate the purchase of real property, and Section 551.071 Texas Government Code and Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel on a disannexation petition for 12906 Johnson Road. All right. The time is 8:21 p.m. City Council will now reconvene into open session pursuant to the provision of Chapter 541 Texas Government Code. Take action if any on any items discussed during closed executive sessions. There are no items to discuss. This meeting is adjourned.